Hi, friends. My name is Joe Travato, and I am an end-stage cancer survivor. This is my first attempt at a podcast. Right now, it's a YouTube channel, BTB 1210. BTB stands for Better Than Before, and 1210 is the date of my remission. 1210 2020. I've learned a lot since then. My journey began in November of 2019 when I was diagnosed with end-stage testicular cancer. At that point, the cancer had spread to my lungs, my liver, my abdomen, and my brain. And I got to the hospital just in time, started treatment just in time. And, there were very dark times along the way, and I will share my story with all of you in hopes to give back to the cancer community. I'm not going to be the last person to go through what I went through. And my goal is to give back by telling my story and my situation, which was hopeless. And I'll get into details as this series comes along. But my hope is that maybe someone going through something similar to what I did, or even outside of cancer, can hear my story and still have hope. So eventually, I'm very easy to reach at this point in time. Instagram is Better Than Before 1210. Message me, I'll answer, and I'm willing to talk to anyone who needs help, whether you have cancer, whether it's post-cancer, because post-cancer is not easy either. I've been struggling with that. It was actually, I consider my life post-cancer tougher on me mentally than the cancer itself, because when you have cancer, you focus on one thing, and that's surviving. Post-cancer, you want to get back to where you were before cancer, and it's not always, well, for me anyway, getting back has been a challenge. But like I titled my fundraising event, which I'll get into, Better Than Before, that's the goal. A backstory, my grandmother used to tell me when I was having cancer, and she's this sweet old Italian lady, immigrant from Italy, came here with nothing, and she used to go, "Joseph, you're going to be better than before. You're going to get better." And she kept saying this to me, and she was right. And I had a lot of family support, and that really helped me a lot. My parents, my mother wouldn't leave me alone in the hospital, even though when COVID happened, the visitor policy straightened up. I had friends visiting me. I'll get into all of this in future episodes. Anyway, I'm going to start from the beginning when I first noticed something was off. I'll start with how that happened. So I was on the phone with my little cousin, and he was receiving his confirmation that weekend. And he had asked me to be his sponsor, and I was honored by this. For those of you who aren't familiar with confirmation, for Catholics, it's kind of like rite of passage to the church. Usually happens for Catholics. It's a sacrament that we receive at around 12 to 13 years old, I believe, give or take 1 or 2 years. The recipients of this sacrament of confirmation pick a person that they look up to, that they want to guide them in their spiritual journey in the Catholic faith. So it was an honor to be this person, be asked by my little cousin. And at that time, there's been ups and downs in my life, just like everyone else. We all have our ups and downs. And I've handled my downs sometimes very, very well, other times not so well. But what I've learned is that life isn't fair. And in order to get through these tough times, you have to be tough. So that was the conversation I had with my little cousin. I said, "Tommy, you got to be tough. Life isn't fair, but you know what? God will help you get through these things. Family will help you. Inner strength, self-belief, that will help you." And I didn't make this line up. I've heard heard this before, but what I really emphasized was having the ability to get comfortable in uncomfortable times. That's what I was preaching. We had a huge conversation about it. I brought up examples. I brought up my grandfather, who had passed 1 to 2 months before that, and my grandfather was my hero, is my hero, even though he's passed. But I was lucky enough to have a lot of great and positive male role models, so I'm very thankful for that. And I wanted to do the same for my little cousin. So, like I said, I just really emphasized being tough and having a positive attitude when maybe it's not so easy to have a positive attitude. That was what we talked about. Anyway, the confirmation was great. We had a great time. I actually slept at my grandmother's house that night in Brooklyn. And I remember the next day, my cousins they had a sporting event. It might have been a football game. I think it was flag football. So I stayed over at my grandmother's house in anticipation of going to the game. And, I was running around, getting ready, getting changed and whatnot. And as I'm walking through the house, I stubbed my toe, which, it happens. It's a little painful when you're going full speed walking and you get the little baby toe. And I was just like, oh, whatever. About 30 seconds later, I did it again. Same toe. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? How do I do that twice? Anyway, I didn't think anything of it, but enjoyed the day, watched the game. But for days after that, there was some complications. I felt really off balance. I felt clumsy. I remember I was I lived in New York City and worked in New York City at the time. And I was out with my coworkers. We were at a Wendy's, getting lunch, and I walked into someone, and this person was pretty big. But I apologized, and luckily he was a nice guy. But I didn't have any control. I felt like I was very uncoordinated, and my coworkers were like, and I told them earlier when we were walking that I feel a little off balance, like my equilibrium was off. And then they saw this and they were like, wow, you're right. You should get that checked. And I was like, yeah, I will. But I had a trip planned for that upcoming weekend. And I was like, I'll see a doctor after this trip. This was the beginning. These were the symptoms. I knew something was off. But me being a typical 29-year-old guy, just, not really caring so much, more focused on my trip with two good friends of mine, going to Miami Halloween weekend in October. I was really looking forward to that, and I did go. And I think I'm going to save that story for the next episode, but it just, out of nowhere, my equilibrium was off, and I was off balance, and my coordination felt off, and I was bumping into things, and it was a little scary. Anyway, I share this story with you. I share the story of my little cousin, telling him what it means to be tough and get comfortable and be positive. And that all played into my overall story. Because if there's one thing that I really try to avoid is being a hypocrite. I think everyone, at some point can be hypocritical. But I really try not to be. And I'm not perfect. With it, no one's perfect. But all that preaching and saying you got to be tough and you got to be positive and you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, that's something I remembered throughout my journey, that I talked all that stuff, all those things I said to a young, impressionable male. And I stand by all those things to this day, because life isn't fair. In a way, I was trying to help my cousin, but saying those words and hearing myself say those words wound up helping me. And this is only the first episode. There are so many stories through my journey that I would love to share with you, and just things that I've learned through hardships. And it fuels me to this day. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm making great progress. And I'm going to take this challenge that I've had, being at the brink of death, looking death in the face and learning from it. And it's going to help me for the rest of my life and inspired me to make this podcast. I really hope that whoever's listening to this, you can apply it to your life. And I hope it makes your life better. I hope it makes you appreciate your health. And if you don't have health at this moment, I don't want you to give up on yourself. My next episode, I'll probably go into the trip I took with my friends. There were events that occurred on that trip that really life-changing events, and it really put things in perspective when I found out what was going on with me. And I'm very lucky nothing happened to me during that trip. I mean, things happened to me. I'll go into more explanations in the next podcast, but I'll leave you with this. Be happy. Do your best to be happy. Do your best to make the healthiest decisions. Don't beat yourself up if you don't, but strive to be better. And I guess that's it for today. Until next time, BTB 1210. Again, better than before, 1210. I'm here to inspire. Thank you for hearing me. Have a great day. Goodbye.